Hello, everybody. Welcome to the TechRaptor Podcast. I'm Robert Scarpanito, your features editor.
Andrew Rotten, editor-in-chief.
Rutland Shellgate, site founder.
Andrew Stretch, editor of the year.
Editor of the year. Wow.
Who awarded you that?
Well, it's not that I
wasn't
was
us, I'll
awarded
tell you that.
editor of the year. I was just one of the editors who was around this year.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
okay.
editor of the year.
I am also editor of the year.
Okay, as opposed to, I was thinking you were like, okay, this year, I'm chopping up this year. I am shortening it. I'm improving it. Which means you have a lot to answer for.
No one needs August. Let's scrap it.
I always think October, because whenever I think of like future, I always forget October exists. I'm like, oh yeah, it's almost Christmas. It goes September, November, fucking December. Sweet.
I just forgetting whole months.
What?
Also,
Routinely.
how are you forgetting October? Arguably one of the only months where its identity is one day of the month.
Don't know, because I don't give a shit about that day.
Maybe that's it. Maybe that's what the editor needs to do. Is like we've got everything leading up to October, then we just have Halloween as a single day,
just one day,
and then we just move on to Christmas.
So you're saying it's like September 58, September 59, September 60, October 31st.
No. Like we still get to like September 30th, and then it's October 30th, and then we move on.
Okay.
Yeah.
November has 60 days. Got it.
Yeah. Yep.
Very long November.
That makes sense. Today we're talking about our Game of the Year awards, and to present them, we have Al Pacino and Andrew Rotten.
Al Pacino will be here shortly. He's gonna just stand awkwardly behind me the entire time. I wish I had something prepared so we could just have an image of Al Pacino back here the whole time.
Yeah, you could have just gotten like a giant printed cutout. Like you go to Staples and it's like, this is very important to me.
Try to get the exact one from the Game Awards. Some cutout from there.
Yeah.
If only we thought ahead.
If only. But yes, take it away.
We'll talk about our 2022 awards. I will definitely tell you the real winners, not fake ones. See what you guys think.
Do we get to do a guessing game? Like each of us trying to guess
I'm gonna give you the runner up, and we'll see if we can figure out the winner based on the runner up.
Okay.
And we'll go from there. But first, we'll talk about the nominees. So our first award is the Best Multiplayer Award, which speaks for itself. Best Multiplayer Game. Our nominees were Grounded from Obsidian, Marvel Snap, Multiverses, Splatoon 3, which will make some people happy, the few of you out there. And Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Shredder's Revenge were our 5 multiplayer nominees for 2022. It doesn't feel like it's the strongest category this year. There's good stuff in there.
Yeah. I also feel like what always makes this category tough is there are so many games that have been out for years and years.
That's also makes like
people play like League of Legends, right? Like people play that game since 10 plus years ago, and it's probably one of the best multiplayer games still.
All the multiplayer games been around a while. All your Counter Strikes and stuff like that people play regularly. Your Dotas and etc.
Yeah. Let's see, Brett, you were about to attack that opinion. Was that what that was?
League is trash.
Okay, that's fine, Hunt.
Oh, God.
At least in Hunt, the game is abusive towards me, not the other players.
That makes it better.
Yeah, it does.
So my guess is you'll be able to pick out who won this one based from our staff. But the runner-up, even though I made a joke about it, was Splatoon 3, which I'm sure Dan will be very happy with.
How many times did he submit his vote?
Only once, as far as I know.
Did we exclude the bot votes?
Yeah, we got rid of the bot vote.
Because the bots are the internet's will. So that accurately reflects the internet.
So we have reader's choice and internet's will.
Yes.
Yes. Okay, Splatoon is the runner-up.
It is.
That's got to be Marvel Snap.
It's Marvel Snap.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of the one really big runaway winner in any category this year. It wasn't even close.
I think almost everybody on staff played it or talked about it at some point, which is very odd.
Have we talked about it on this podcast?
We have. Yeah, we chatted it like the first or second week that it was out.
And then the third and the fourth and the fifth.
I still play it regularly.
Yeah, out of curiosity, what's your collection level or whatever?
It's like 1,300.
Jeez.
Wow.
Yeah, you blew past me.
So that was your vote too, I assume.
I don't vote
That's fair, but yeah.
unless it's a tiebreaker, just to save, because it's such a hassle otherwise.
Right.
But otherwise, I do not vote.
How long do we think until Marvel Snap hits like Switch and consoles and stuff? Because with this much
I
success,
don't know how well
you
it
can
would lend itself
can-
to those controls.
You
You
see it
can
on
afford it.
Switch.
Like, I mean, like the Marvel Midnight Suns game is on console. Like, it's also a card
That's
game,
true.
pretty much.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, there are tons of
I
card
don't know.
games on consoles.
They're still working out the early access of Steam of PC.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
But
a
I mean,
great game though.
Yeah, and I feel like they're on probably two of the most monetizable platforms right now, like mobile and PC. You're probably getting a lion's share of the money you would get anyway.
Most likely.
Yeah.
But
But it would be cool to see it on Switch as well.
Yeah.
You know, just on the go, right?
just great little bite-sized matches. It's very
Yeah.
The reason I played so much of it is I've been watching niece and nephew who are young, and it's the perfect little like in between stuff. Like the only break I get, I'm like, I'll just play a match or two of that
Right.
around as the chaos unfolds around me.
And in your phone.
Yes, that's right.
Yes.
The Chaos Emeralds, famously Marvel.
I'm thinking Chaos Magic, but yeah, congratulations to Marvel
I don't
Snap for winning our multiplayer game of
Yeah.
2022.
It's great.
Woo.
But
Mhm.
Ben Brode knows how to make card games
Yeah.
that are popular with the masses.
Yeah, he's that Hearthstone guy, right? You know, little
Yes.
indie gem Hearthstone.
He
Very
knows
small. Very small.
knows what he's doing. But our next one, this was a pretty contentious category, best writing. So in our
Oh.
writing, we talk about character, the world building, the overall plot, and what have you. And second place for us went to God of War Ragnarok. Didn't
Whoa.
take first.
So what
Well,
are
who were the
nominees?
rest of the nominees?
What were the nominees?
Oh, that's right. The nominees. I'm sorry.
kind of important.
Who
Like, wow,
cares?
that's really interesting. Who
Well,
the
it's
fuck else is
Splatoon
up for
3.
running?
Splatoon 3
every
won
game
this
that
one?
came out
Wow.
in 2022.
Splatoon 3 got nominated. No, just it was God of War Ragnarok, Immortality, Norco, Pentiment, and Xenoblade Chronicles 3, which I know Scrappy's very happy with.
Oh my god, if that wins.
Xenoblade was
Ugh.
nominated.
That's all of those stories are like they're all big stories. They're all so different from one another as
Very
well.
different. Yeah.
Mhm. I feel like knowing our staff, it's either Pentiment or Norco. I feel like that's
A lot of people got into Narco after you guys started chatting about it, didn't they?
Phew.
Yeah.
It's a great game. It's the writing in it it's phenomenal.
Mhm.
It's fun. It's super funny, and it's just got a great story going with it too. Great sci-fi
Yeah.
stuff happening. It's a great game.
right, and like an interesting setting too, right? It's like
Yes.
voodoo sci-fi Louisiana.
I wouldn't
Not-
say voodoo,
not
but it's
voodoo,
definitely like it's very depressed, like small town or like outskirts of a big city, small town outside of New Orleans, and that's where
I
the
know that-
dev's from.
I know that Christian is a big fan of Immortality, and I know that he was shopping that around, and that won a couple at the Game Awards as well.
A lot
I'd
of
never
people are
heard of
very-
it until Chris brought it to my attention.
Yeah.
A lot of people out there are very high on it.
Mhm.
I bounced off it hard. I
Is it
tried.
the FMV vibe?
No, I'm
Yeah.
fine with that, but it gives you zero direction on anything,
Mm.
like what to do, like why am I doing this? Like you just see a bunch of clips of movies, like you're piecing stuff together, but it doesn't really give you a reason for a while. And then also, I'm just seeing these out of context clips of film.
Something.
I'm like, okay, why do I give a shit? Like,
Yeah, because if I
Okay.
remember right, isn't the game mechanic kind of like you're watching a clip and then you can click on something in the clip to like go to
Yeah.
another clip that's
it will like
relevant?
take like
you
say
clicked on.
someone's drinking a cup of coffee, like you could click on that and it'll take you to another scene in a movie where there's a cup of coffee or like a coffee mug sitting
Right.
somewhere and it'll play that scene or that kind of stuff. And it's these different weird hidden object things that will reveal information, like get you moving down some way. There's like a
Mhm.
million ways to figure out the story, the go through the plot and all that. But
Right.
anyway, it's a very interesting idea that resonated with a lot of people. Didn't resonate with me, but
Mm.
a very interesting way to tell a story.
Right. And then Pentiment, I know Austin is a very big fan of that
Yeah.
game. He actually is working on a feature right now where he's interviewed the devs behind it. So that'll be cool. It should go live on the site this week.
Pentiment is a very fun game.
Yeah, that's the like 1600s, right? Bohemian,
I think
Bavarian,
it's 1500s. Yeah, in Bavaria.
Yeah,
It's very grounded in that history, and it uses a lot of historical documents, a lot of things that people are like, oh, I remember reading that in school or college, possibly, like a little references to things, but they're part of that world back then. And it just, even if you're not interested in the history part of it, it's just a neat little a couple murder mysteries in one.
right.
That it's a through line story of stuff happening in this one small town, this village. And you have to figure out who murdered who and why.
Pretty classic.
I
Very Knives Out.
Yeah, I had a chance to listen to the developers talking about it a little bit before release, and like everyone involved has history degrees. They paired up with a music group that is like specifically a music group that makes and recreates music of that time, of that period, with the legitimate instruments. There was so much care into that as a historical piece of, or a piece of historically accurate fiction. And then it's also, it's got the branching story, build up your character based on what decisions you make along the way and how that influences other things down the way. That is an in-depth game. I reckon if that wins, then that's an excellent choice. Very, very well deserved.
Yeah, it was great. It's on Game Pass. If people want to play it, worth a shot.
Yeah.
And I'll leave to Scrappy to talk about Xenoblade. Sing its praises.
I'm waiting for that. Just waiting.
Sing its praises.
Tell us how you feel about it, Scrappy.
It is a game of the year.
Just of the year, not game.
It is one of the games of the year.
At least in 2022, yes.
It does feature some writing.
Okay.
Words have been written in relation to the creation of the game.
Okay.
And I don't know. It's perfectly fine. It is very anime, weeby, Japanese, like RPG kind of vibes. So it's very up that alley. I just can't say I am, like, I do like that. I love Persona and all that, but there's something about Xenoblade's world where it's okay to me. I did not finish the game, so I don't know if there's like some grand revelation at the end that makes it all tie together.
It was all a dream.
Yeah,
could have been that, but
you were a ghost the entire time.
Yeah. I mean, I do know one of the twists that's like, it's not either of those, but it's as cliche, I would say.
Hey, cliches are there for a reason. They're good writing.
They're there's some familiarity in cliches.
I was just kidding.
There's a comfort in the cliche.
Yeah.
Obviously people on staff liked it, even though, what are they?
I know I don't know about the minority, but I know the fans of Xenoblade, very
really
big
like
fans, very excited fans about it. So I don't want to yuck their yum.
Well, it didn't win. I'll tell you that. Didn't win.
Yeah, immediately, no hesitation.
The winner of best writing went to Pentiment.
Who could it be?
Went to Pentiment with Among Staff.
That's awesome. So well deserved.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Adding on to what Stretch was saying earlier, one thing that I really liked about it is there's this murder mystery stuff happening around you that's compelling and stuff. And you have a bunch of suspects that you will be convinced did it. But one of the coolest things about it is it takes place over a decent amount of period of time, like decades, and you see the daily lives of just regular old villagers going about life. It's not really all that important overall to the plot, but they do a lot to, you just see how they live life back then, their problems and all that stuff, and they do that really well to make it interesting.
Yeah, I imagine you're pretty excited about this because you're a history nerd, right?
Yeah.
Like outside of video games.
history.
Yeah. bit of a history nerd.
It was
I have
good
a feeling
stuff.
that Pentiment's going to be one of those games that shows up in 2 years being taught at like a college or something.
Yeah.
And it's got that kind of vibe to it.
It's I think it's one of those that I don't know if it's because of the way it looks, because they kind of are aping like medieval art in the way of the style of it, or because it is more like a point and click kind of adventure kind of game in a way.
Right. If
that turned people off to it, because I know some people like, yeah, they're not down for that. They don't want to do a bunch of reading or whatever the case might be. It just feel like one of those that kind of went under the radar for me. It's a really excellent game.
I don't think a lot of people were talking about it, but the people who did talk about it were like very positive.
Yeah.
Talk loud.
It's it's always funny seeing tweets about where people are like, yeah, I'm having dinner at this person's place and asking them questions so I could try to figure out who fucking murdered this guy. And that is the thing, like you'll be eating a meal and like it'll show the meal, and over time you're eating bits and pieces of it, and they're talking about whatever local gossip about whatever the hell's going on. But it's good stuff.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like it's like kind of a niche sort of game. You know, it's not like a big blockbuster vibe, but has great.
I'd say even if you're not interested into the history stuff, I think the murder mystery thing that's going on and the bigger thing around it is interesting enough for a lot of people. So
right,
and it's not like it beats you over the head. It'll say a name of some document or some writing or some historical figure, and you can read about it if you want. Like they have little excerpts about it, but you'll be just fine not knowing also if you don't want to.
Kind of reminds me of like the Civilopedia and Civilization games. Like
in a way,
learn more about that.
Civilopedia is a lot more in depth than what's in Pentiment, though.
Fair.
Yeah.
Excellent. What is the next category, and who are their nominees?
It's best visual design. Nominees are Elden Ring. First time we saw that. Why wasn't that in the best writing? Ghostwire Tokyo, God of War Ragnarok, Horizon Forbidden West, and Tunic.
Ooh,
for best visual design. This
is a tough one. I feel like even if you say the runner-up, I'll be like, man, I don't fucking know. Like,
yeah, it's one of the harder categories.
What were our qualifications for visual design?
What do you mean qualified?
Like, is it just that it like looked pretty?
It's for outstanding cohesive aesthetic is how we describe it. So that doesn't mean best graphics. That just means whatever it was trying to achieve visually, it did it excellently.
Of all the purdy games out there, it's the purdiest.
Like I would say, like Pentiment to me deserved to be on here. Is it the prettiest look? No, but they absolutely nailed the look that they were looking for. And it enhances the vibe of the game.
Right.
So to me, that it would have been perfectly well deserved to have been nominated. Also,
yeah, because I feel like most of the list right now is generally leaning toward the technical graphic aspect.
The one that is not the big, technical graphics and like big budget stuff. The one that's not is Tunic.
Yeah,
that's the little bit of an outlier.
Right.
Oh, I love Tunic. I'm a huge Tunic fan, but even then, like throwing it to God of War, like that game looks
pretty impressive,
phenomenal. And I know that it's mocap suits, but like the way that Kratos moves, Kratos runs, like it's just everything is taken into account.
Right.
It's pretty great.
Yeah, but then on the other hand, like Elden Ring is not technically as impressive, like, in terms of just the fidelity and anti-aliasing and other big graphics words. But it does have a very cohesive aesthetic. Like that world feels very lived in, and it's very smartly laid out. It has a lot of, it's not like the same as Dark Souls, but there's similar ideas of like that thing in the landscape is pretty, but it is also a marker of some sort to guide you, toward a destination, which is, something that some games don't do as often.
Yeah, that was kind of one of my questions, is that like there's a lot that Tunic is a great game. It looks like a great game, but so much of what you see and is like in the background is such an integral part of the core game as well.
I'd say almost the like design of the I totally blank of the name of the book you get, the pages you collect.
Yeah, the instruction manual.
The manual. That's manual's word I couldn't remember. Like the design of that itself is amazing.
They built an entire language for it that just like immerses you in the world.
Right, but it has like just enough hints for at the beginning when you don't. I mean, you probably might not know the language at the end either, unless you're Stretch. But there's enough little hints there where you're like, oh, okay, A buttons to do this.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's all through inferred knowledge and trial and error, and there's so many secrets hidden in that journal as well that are just so cool.
Yeah, and Horizon,
Horizon is amazing looking.
Yeah.
Me personally, that's what I would have voted for as the number one. It's pretty crazy how varied the locales are and how good each one looks. It's an impressive game. Like it's particularly because it's an open world run around the game. It's not like set levels. It's amazingly well done. Crazy.
I feel like one of the biggest impacts of it, like on a global scale, is the lighting. The lighting in it somehow just hits perfectly anywhere you look, anytime.
It always fits, and it's just technically a crazy game. It makes me really wonder. I know there'll be another Horizon, and I'm assuming it will be, they don't use Unreal; they have their own engine and stuff.
The Decima,
something like the one that Death Stranding uses. They whatever that will be next when it's built for PS5 and later and stuff, where this was still a cross-gen thing. I'm very interested in what that will be like, because it's pretty impressive what they pulled off already.
For sure.
And we're already very close to the next Horizon game as well, with the PSVR 2 one. That also looks incredible.
Yeah.
I mean,
I'm super bummed that's not coming to like Steam for the index and stuff.
I mean, they might do the, because like Horizon 1 came out to PC, God of War.
Well, they've announced it for the index too, right?
Fuck you guys.
coming this summer.
Yeah. I mean, we're also going to see Hollywood in the Horizon world soon with that DLC.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah. Burning Shores or something like that.
Something like that.
Yeah.
So anyway, our runner-up was God of War. Didn't win it.
Whoa.
It was the runner-up.
And
if it had won, I wouldn't have been surprised either. It's like it's phenomenal looking.
It's very pretty.
Yeah.
Well, I'm gonna dream and pray and hope for Tunic, but I'm gonna expect Horizon.
Yeah. I think I'm gonna put it. Well, actually, Ghostwire Tokyo. We didn't talk about that one.
Talk about it.
No, I mean that's the one. That's one I think I put forward as a nominee as well, because like that game,
Persona-inspired setting.
Yeah, it's inspired by that city they made up for Persona 5 Tokyo. Yeah,
pretty crazy.
Like Shibuya Crossing. You remember the Shibuya Crossing in the anime opening for it? Yeah, that's like in this
influential.
Game. Yeah.
This is gonna be like one of those like, oh, this wasn't a real dinosaur. We built the dinosaur wrong. But in like 3,000 years, it's gonna be like, so they made an entire theme park called Japan based off these video games.
But Ghostwire Tokyo is a very phenomenal game in terms of its visual design. I feel like that's probably the one thing that I think could win for it, because it does feel very cohesive. It does nail that feeling of being in a huge city like Tokyo.
Yeah.
So I don't know if it would win though with our staff. If I had to guess, I'd say Horizon as well.
Well, you're wrong. Elden Ring won. Visual design.
Boo.
Right. No,
we have enough Souls fans in the staff that doesn't surprise me too much.
It's not super surprising. It's, Big Tree looks cool. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, it's very simple. Yeah.
Weighing up like this game versus the other competitors, it was a very, very tough category. One might say that it's like the Dark Souls of categories.
Jesus Christ. It is usually a tough category because it feels subjective sometimes. That's why I always try to think of it as like what were they trying to achieve and did they do it? And how does it affect the rest of the
Tunic
game?
was the diversity vote.
I mean, I get it though, because I feel like, you know, Elden Ring's probably the game I put the most time into in 22, and like there is something about its visual design where there are points where, you know, you kind of want to explore everything that's not related to the critical path, and sometimes it's just to see what's out there, because they have some pretty crazy environments in this game that are totally different. Like, you know, Melania, the very like iconic, really hard Scarlet Rot boss fight. To get to her, you have to go to a tree in the sky.
Sweet.
Yeah, and it's like, it's things like that where it's like, okay, this is some like creative, weird shit that they're just doing. And I mean, I think a lot of people have talked about the underground map. There's like a fucking low rule in Elden Ring that when you go down there's like a sky of stars, but you're underground, and it's like it's just another one of those like takes your breath away kind of moments.
It's the Underdark, you know?
Yeah.
Man, I wish I enjoyed Souls games. They sound so cool.
Yeah, Scrappy put most of his time into Elden Ring this year, and I put the least of my time in Elden Ring this year.
Yeah, like 100
minutes
worth of time.
Yes. Well, there you go. Elden Ring, best visual design winner.
Yeah, congratulations to Elden Ring.
Good game, I hear.
Yeah, it's gotten very few awards this year, so I'm glad that we're shining a spotlight on it.
That's right.
It's been a tough year for games. There's been a lot of good games this year.
It's a good year. Very good year for games.
Next year is already stacked, or this year. Shit, it's already this year.
23
It's
already.
stacked as well.
Yeah. So our next category is best soundtrack for best overall score.
Ooh.
The nominees are Crisis Core, Final Fantasy VII Reunion, Elden Ring,
Of course.
God of War Ragnarok, Metal Hellsinger, and Xenoblade Chronicles 3.
You can see the slight grimace on Scrappy's face every single time it gets brought up.
Yeah. I mean, the soundtrack is probably the best thing of the game of Xenoblade. It was okay. But
just can't let it have anything, can you?
I really can't. I gave it 60 years of my life, and it's 60 years or 60 hours of my life, and I will never get them back.
60 years, Jesus.
Yeah. I mean, it felt like years.
What the hell have you been doing all year?
Watch out, if we get him too upset, he'll disconnect again. don't bully him too much.
On my computer.
Oh yeah.
So who's the runner-up?
The runner-up.
Wow.
This energy.
I know. So I'm just so into what's happening right now. The runner-up was Elden Ring. Didn't win it.
Okay.
But people liked it a lot. I think that's the one thing that the Souls series in general is really good at all the time is soundtrack, but particularly like boss fight music is always like fucking the best.
It's like so epic.
That's why
it always sets the vibe.
Yeah.
Yeah. It always is like, oh shit, stuff is happening.
Like, have you guys seen that video of like POV, you're a Dark Souls boss, and it's like a little raccoon and you're like rolling around in the grass very frantically, but it has the epic music playing. It's like the best.
Yeah, the music is phenomenal.
Yeah,
I reckon number one is gonna go to God of War then, because like that God of War soundtrack, especially like the big like vocal pieces and stuff. That's in my Spotify playlist to just listen to, and I was listening to that before I'd even played the game. There is some
surprising
banger tracks in that.
Because I thought it was okay overall, but not super memorable, personally.
I agree with that. Well, I think there is one memorable melody, a memorable motif, the bum 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 bum, right? And they riff on that a lot throughout the game, and every time it plays it is very epic, like especially in the latter, like that very last major big fight war moment. there's a lot of moments where that song kind of comes in and it's like this grandiose, sweeping orchestral take on it that, you know, it definitely feels very cool.
Yeah.
But it is kind of just that one motif that to me sticks out as the most memorable throughout the game.
But also there's Metal Hellsinger, which is
Metal.
the music rhythm game. So
Yeah. Yeah, Metal Hellsinger.
Which is in my top 5 for the year. So
Is that your number 1 for this category, right? Is that what you? Yeah.
I mean, I was listening to the leaked soundtrack before the game came out.
Mm-hmm.
It's just each track is so well crafted, and then when you tie it into the gameplay, it really enhances the experience as you get to learn those songs a lot better, and you can kind of time things around that.
Is it now
And I'm
difficult to
usually
listen to
garbage
those
at music
songs?
rhythm stuff.
Is it now difficult to listen to those songs outside of the game? Because you're
No.
like, gotta be shooting, gotta be moving, gotta be doing things on the beat.
No, I still listen to them. It's
Is
just
that part of a
they're
song? Gotta be
bangers.
shooting, gotta be moving.
Yeah, that's the
Yeah,
like,
actually,
you know, in
I-
the deep metal.
I'm revealing
yeah.
it now, guys.
That's
I did like Metal Hellsinger as a vibe, though. Like, I'm one of those people where I love metal, but I don't like screaming, which
Man.
leaves me in a very small window with modern metal because 90% of it
very
is
screaming.
screaming. Yeah. So of the entire game, there are like 2 songs, well, like 1.5 songs I really like. There's the Stygia one, which it was
The
in the
best
demo.
one.
It's a great song. I love the chorus. The rest of it, I'm kind of like, it's all right. And then the Surge Tankian song, the final boss
Final
song,
boss.
it's pretty good. It's pretty cool. Yeah.
Those are words.
Mhm.
yeah, I love the chorus. Gotta be shooting, gotta be moving.
That's the best part of it is when they sing that. Like, I love getting the 16 times multiplier just to hear that part.
That's what you're playing for.
This is where I'm going to be announcing my SoundCloud.
Yeah. Okay, so you said Elden Ring was a runner-up.
Elden Ring was runner-up.
Okay, I'm willing to bet 90% of that is for the Radagon theme because that song fucking slaps, dude.
Yeah.
It's like
I know that one.
the final boss one.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like a march toward your fucking death because that guy just beats your ass every time.
Well, what
Winner,
about
I would
Crisis Core.
Crisis
What about
Core.
that?
It is more Final Fantasy music, right?
It is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's more Final Fantasy
Which
music.
is pretty
I
good.
believe it's all been reorchestrated too.
I've been playing through it. I wasn't as impressed as I was with Remake from a
No, it's definitely
soundtrack
not the
perspective.
same.
That makes
Yeah,
sense.
yeah.
Mhm.
I think that's
I
fair.
am enjoying Crisis Core quite a bit. It's nice to revisit it finally after my PSP died a million years ago.
Yeah,
Oh, it had its own crisis.
Yes,
at its core.
Right.
at its core.
So do we want to know who the winner was?
Yes.
Yes.
So the next category, no, it's Metal Hellsinger one.
Mental
Fuck
health.
From
yeah.
Monk Staff, which
Yeah.
it had a quite the vocal group of people that liked it on staff. I wasn't super surprised to see it win.
Yeah. Plus, I feel like it is one of the few games of the year that's like, it's really all about the soundtrack.
That's
right.
yeah,
Like
the
like
main
90%
thing.
of the marketing was, and we have this singer and
Yes.
that person.
We're
Right, we
collabing
didn't
They
with
have
care
some
this
of the
about-
big names in metal. Yeah.
We didn't care about Ed Sheeran on the Pokemon soundtrack. No big votes.
Is that
for
really a thing?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, the best
Ed
thing
Sheeran
about
did a
Ed Sheeran
song
was
for-
him in Game of Thrones. Everybody's super happy about it.
Well, and also
Yeah,
I
the
guess
Ed
shout
Sheeran
out
song
to
plays in the credits.
yeah, and similar in God of War, you got Hosier on the credits for that. He sung
Okay.
that song at the Game Awards too.
Okay, yeah, that's the Blood
Yeah.
Upon the Snow. That's the one that
Yeah.
I like.
Yeah.
Yeah. But
So our next,
Congratulations, Metal Hellsinger.
yeah, Metal Hellsinger. Next
Metal
category
Hellsinger.
time is the best expansion / DLC.
I'm just loving Otten's energy in this.
I'm just,
He's so
I'm
trash.
I got places to be.
You need a
Where-
copy, my man.
Are you trudging on? It doesn't feel like there's any energy.
Please wrap it up.
Yeah, I'm the
Al
guy.
Pacino, like
I'm the producers during Christopher Judge's speech. That's the energy I have. Like, let's get this fucking going. Anyway, that's expansion DLC. A lot of places don't cover DLC and expansion all that well. Like a lot of places, they don't get reviewed much. So I like that we have the category. So it's simply best new piece of content, something.
Yeah.
So our 5 nominees are Cuphead, The Delicious Last Course, Dead Cells, The Queen and the Sea, Destiny 2, The Witch Queen, Monster Hunter Rise, Sunbreak, and Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe Edition are our 5 nominees. I think that's a great batch of stuff because they're good games that add a lot of good stuff to it. Like Cuphead is more of the same, and Cuphead's so great. Like more stuff there was it was amazing.
Yeah, and I hear that Miss Chalice really like changes the whole vibe of the game, which is like
it's a different
kind of
way to play.
Yeah, which is kind of what you really want in a DLC, right? It's like it's not just a reason to play the new stuff, but then it's like, oh, let's go back and try out the old content in a new way. Yeah.
I've not played Queen of the Sea, but Dead Cells it's crazy how much content they make for that game, and Dead Cells is amazing, like really, really, really good. Like it's in that tier of Hades and stuff where you're talking about the best of roguelikes that are out there. No question, it's up in the top tier.
Oh yeah.
Right. I tried to get into Queen in the Sea when it came out, but the last time I had played Dead Cells was like within the first 3 months of 1.0.
It's been a while.
It's been a while. So I bought the DLC and then like the rest of them because there was like the Last Seed and a few others, I think.
Yeah.
And I tried to play it and I was like, oh wait, I have so much other stuff to catch up on that I kind of stopped because I had to get through all the other things and I was like, there's a lot to consume. Yeah.
We have any Destiny 2 people? I don't think any of us are big Destiny 2 guys on here.
I was a big Destiny guy. And like I'm sure just as they've done with every expansion, they have added more guns, another layer to the dense web of a story that Destiny has become. Remember when Destiny 1 launched and people criticized it for having no story? And now it's just like, oh, like here, our third sibling cursed by the elder god worms did this, and they're coming. It's a lot, and it's always great to see that continued push. And Destiny fans are always eating good.
Yeah,
they've done a lot in the last couple of years to kind of hone in on community feedback and really drive things forward. I think that with every misstep they make, which aren't too many, they pivot in a really positive way that the community reacts like really well to every single time.
Yeah.
Capitalize on the learning opportunity of failure and not just the scrambling.
Yeah, they definitely learned from Destiny 1 when they did 2 and then just continued to iterate in such a solid way.
2 launched pretty crap. But that was because you had a different team working on all the live update stuff on 1 while 2 was going on. So that makes sense.
It was an awkward transition period.
Yeah. I feel like Beyond Light is kind of like, I think in a couple years time, we're going to look at Beyond Light and everything after that as kind of like Destiny 2's Realm Reborn.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not quite it's the same, right? It's not like they shut down Destiny 2 to restart it, but I think that Beyond Light is kind of like this turning point where it's like, really getting into its stride. I think the only other game on that DLC list that I can speak to is Stanley Parable. Because I fucking love Ultra Deluxe. Ultra Deluxe is the best to me, hands down, 100%.
Well, you'll be happy to know it is the runner-up of the category. Didn't win.
Ooh, shame.
But it is the runner-up.
God, it's such a funny fucking DLC though. That just like makes fun of DLCs and Ultra Editions and remakes, remaster type stuff. It's so perfect.
Exactly what it needed to be. Like there's nothing else it could have been.
Yeah, and I love that it grapples with its own success too, in a way. Like it kind of turns the mirror on itself of what it was and what it did. and leans into the absurdity in that there's a point where you unlock a bucket, and it's just a bucket, and you can pick it up at the beginning of your run. And when you do, it's similar to Cuphead, where all of the old runs you've done change a little bit because of the bucket.
So it's the gnome run for like Half-Life.
Yeah, it's kind of like that, but like
No,
there are
Chomsky.
pretty significant changes to some of the older content with the bucket. But then there's also just the added layer of the narrator just being like, Stanley felt a warmth in the bucket, like an old friend finally come back to give him a hug, kind of stuff. Like it's great.
Yeah,
Like ripping on companion cube.
Mm-hmm.
I remember Stanley Parable when it came out was one of those games where people like really started talking about narrators. I think the first time I remember hearing that before was Bastion.
Yeah.
And then Stanley Parable, like I do not know the voice actor's name for who does the narration, but he does such a good job.
Mm-hmm.
Just creating the vibe of that whole game.
Yeah, it's like the perfect like snide British man.
Yes.
Yeah.
Kevin Brighting.
There you go. Good job, Kevin.
Thank you.
Keep up the good work.
So if that
He was
was the
also
runner
in-
up,
I feel like it's got to be Cuphead. I feel like that got a lot of fanfare.
maybe. I don't know, because I feel like when I'm looking at our staff list too, I'm like, do we have a lot of people who played Cuphead?
I will remind you that the year Cuphead came out, it basically won every single award we had.
Mm.
Except Game of the Year.
So it's
Well,
Cuphead.
knowing that now, I think Cuphead, guys. I've got a slight inkling.
Well, that was a misdirection because it was Cuphead.
You bastard.
It was Cuphead.
I'll fucking kill you.
Cuphead won. It's pretty
Okay.
deserved. I mean, it almost was like a Cuphead 2 in a way. Like there was, I don't know how many there's almost as many or more bosses.
There was like 5 or 6 bosses. There was enough bosses for like 2 islands of the original game.
Yeah, it was quite a bit going on. It just didn't have the like regular run through levels, but it was nothing but bosses.
Yeah, it's just a focus on them.
Yeah, it's great. Well, very well deserved. I'm curious where they will go now. Are they going to make more Cuphead? Or are they going to try something new?
Bull Boy. Yeah, we've got Cuphead. We've got Mugman.
Bull.
So now it's Bull Boy.
I heard
I thought you meant like bulb, like light bulb.
Yeah. And I was like, but Bull.
I would
BOWL. Boy.
I'd love to see them make a Mega Man style game. Like the platforming sections were good enough.
Yeah, I like it.
If they did that and then they had like a boss rush kind of thing at the end, with that like level of quality of bosses, I reckon that'd be great. That'd be a really good way to do it. Give
Hey, it's not like Capcom's doing it.
I get the feeling that whatever they do next, it will be they've made the name for themselves with an art style. I don't know if necessarily be the same kind of art style, but I get the feeling it will be something like visually. It's got to be compelling in some way, whatever it'll be.
That hose art style again.
I don't know if it'll be that, but I'm sure it'll be still because that's kind of what they made the names on, is that more than anything.
Right.
Like it'll have to be something that's visually pretty great. Will probably be the main focus, because I know that's what took the most dev time for Cuphead. It's like, fuck, we gotta like animate all this hand drawn stuff. It takes forever.
Right.
Very worth it, but it takes a long time.
Like, it's not just the animation, but then like, how does it play with the player input?
Yeah.
Like that. Yeah.
That's been the kind of funny thing, like seeing all of the advertisements and stuff for the Netflix show, is that the animation in the Netflix show is just not there. And very clearly they tell it's because they did not go with the style that made the video game work so well. It almost seems strange to be like, this game built its core around this like nostalgia and this art style. Let's not do that for the TV show. Like, what are you doing?
Wow, Netflix butchering a video game adaptation.
Yeah.
Okay.
Who'd have thunk?
Cutting corners with their budget.
Answering after one season.
Crazy.
Oh man.
Anyway,
Congrats to Cuphead. Cuphead DLC, Delicious Last Course.
Oh, that I just not. I knew that. Yeah. Good stuff. I think it was pretty good. They've been DLC and expansions have gotten a lot better over the years. Once they stopped going fucking insane with DLCs, and we're like, okay, we're actually going to give you something for it instead of bullshit.
Horse armor, baby.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like it was really bad during the map packs era. Remember that when games came like shooters came out with map packs, and that was the
All
main
kinds of
DLC.
those
I remember making my way over to GameStop to purchase the Halo 2 expansion disc to add more maps.
Yeah, that's people bitch about like microtransactions and stuff in shooters or battle passes, but that's what they're paying for, is that the developer doesn't need to like separate out the community across who has purchased which group of 3 additional maps.
Right. What is our next?
In a similar vein is the best evolving game. So it's just best continued development. So these are games that have probably been out for a while that get nominated. So our nominees this year, it's a very similar list almost every year it's been that we've had it for. We've done it for a few years now.
Yeah.
But the games are Destiny 2, Final Fantasy 14, Fortnite, No Man's Sky, and Sea of Thieves.
Sea of Thieves.
Sea of Thieves, I don't play it, but for some reason I always pay attention to what's going on. I don't know why. And they do a lot of cool stuff like all the time. Like people that are into that game have a lot of stuff to look forward to pretty frequently. They do cool stuff.
Like I actually played a little bit of Sea of Thieves for the first time last year with some friends, and they made the experience so easy to just like jump in, or even if it's your first time, you can just jump right in, hop onto a ship with your friends and just be a pirate, which low barrier to entry is always good with a game like this, right?
Yeah.
The mechanics are just very simple too, so it's not, you don't have to learn a lot to jump in. Like obviously there's like deeper strategy when it comes to, you know, cannons and stuff like that, but how to use the cannons, how to load them, like all that stuff is very intuitive, which makes it easy for anyone to jump in and play.
Right. Yeah, I feel like Final Fantasy 14 is always a main staple in this category too. Like like
as they continue to release blockbuster level expansions and
although none last
next
year.
week.
Yeah, none last year. That was 2 years ago, right? That was
it was like December it came out, so it was December 2021. So it was most of the people experienced it 2022,
right?
But I mean, it's the best supported MMO out there, so not surprised to see it here.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of the only games I can think of where they literally had to stop selling it because they were like, we don't have any more server space. Please stop buying our video game.
Yeah, that was pretty crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, I forgot about
Well,
that.
every time a new like content push comes out, I see people tweeting about like the emotions of the story as well. To where, you know, in an MMO, usually it's like, okay, read text, fetch quest. All right, let's go raid. But Final Fantasy 14 has a lot more story that's impactful to the players, which is pretty cool.
I say that's a main reason. Like a lot, I don't know. I think it's fair to say most of the player base. That's why they're playing.
Yeah. All 25 million of them.
Yeah. It's crazy.
It's crazy, yeah. I mean, I tried to get into it because I was pulled in by that enticing story, right? Yeah. But man, I don't think I'm built for MMOs. So
yeah, I tried. The grind got to me too. I was the same way. I was like, boy, I wish I could get through this to get to the good stuff.
But only there was an easy mode.
That's why I play Final Fantasy 12.
Like you can literally pay to easy mode where you can skip the entirety of Realm Reborn and jump straight to the expansions with a character.
Yeah, that's true.
Which I've thought about doing, but then I'm like, but then is the story of Realm Reborn important? I don't know.
Yeah.
Cutscene movies. You can find probably like an 8-hour cutscene movie.
True.
Love it.
Good stuff.
It's God's intended way to experience MMOs.
That game I just heard about made the list.
Fortnite?
Yeah, have you guys heard of Fortnite?
Man,
There's all kinds of cool stuff.
I'm so glad you discovered it last year, so everyone else can.
Yeah, you can have Indiana Jones fight John Wick
While
and
Goku
stuff.
Kamehamehas or Kamehamehas them
Kamehamehas them. Yeah,
Kamehameha.
from across the field.
that's right.
Kamehameha.
Kamehameha, like, oh God, these kids are so bad at that.
Kamiyamami.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Kamehameha.
Fortnite is one that I have played, I think, one game of once on my Switch, and I put it down halfway through and said, yeah, I don't give a fuck. But this is one that I voted for because, like, for all of the shit that we give, like metaverse and all of these different plans to build these connected worlds, whatever, Fortnite is the closest thing. Their ability to grab IP from everywhere, plan relevant events to life, get not just like movie fans involved, but comic book fans, video gamers, anime fans, music fans. The fact that there have been multiple concerts held in Fortnite is mind blowing.
Star Wars had a fucking plot point revealed.
It's almost like you can do the metaverse without crypto involved.
Yeah, it's V-Bucks. V-Bucks instead. That's the new future of currency.
V-Bucks is everything.
Yeah, I think
Bitcoin.
It is Ready Player One.
Yeah, I think I voted for Fortnite too, because I think we mentioned this when we were talking about the other game awards, the lesser ones, the Keeleys, where
the less important, yeah.
Right. Where Fortnite no build mode is truly a game changer that's been pulling people in. I feel like I've been hearing and seeing more Fortnite since no build mode came on the scene. I've literally been playing Fortnite for I played a bit of it for like a couple weeks last year because of it. And it's just so easy to hop in and see Bruno Mars beat the shit out of Goku with a microphone. Like it's so it's truly wild and mind-boggling just how many hours of ridiculous content you can get out of Fortnite, and that they still keep adding,
constantly evolving the map, and they have the various themed for the seasons and how people get into that, and like they've done an incredible job at fostering that community and like giving them good stuff. Like it's not like they're taking advantage of people necessarily. Like they get cool shit to engage with.
Yeah, and it's kind of the game that's like made battle passes really popular. Like I mean, I think Dota was kind of the first to do a battle pass type thing, but with a compendium, like it's sort of kind of. But Fortnite really, like, you wouldn't have battle passes all over the industry without Fortnite, I bet. Like,
probably not.
No,
yeah,
I don't think so.
It's a pretty fair one too, where if I remember right, it's one of the few where like if you complete the battle pass, you'll get enough V-Bucks to buy the next one. So you only need to theoretically pay $10 once, and then, I don't know, 40, 50 hours of your time. But if you're a dedicated Fortnite fan, I mean, that's just going to happen, right?
Yeah, that one purchase, that first purchase got me through like 4 seasons of battle passes for the most part.
Yeah.
So
it's shit like that makes me think back to like when I was a kid, and it would be like save up pocket money, whatever, to save up and buy a video game. It's like, fuck, this whole game is free? Like, goddamn.
I know. It's crazy.
Yeah. Destiny, I feel like we would need Tyler here to speak its praises.
So there's some other people on staff too, but we need him. And our other one we didn't talk about was No Man's Sky, which I think has been a mainstay on this award category since we created the award.
Yeah.
I think it was legitimate reason we created the category.
Might have been.
Yeah.
But what can we say other than like everybody said it might have the best redemption story? Other than, I guess, the other one that's competing for it is Final Fantasy 14. Also,
well, that's what I was actually gonna comment on that. I feel like I'm feeling like the No Man's Sky, wow, that redemption story is so good, magic is wearing off, and not in like a bad way, not like it's a bad game now, but just like kind of, I mean, it's common knowledge, it's kind of, old news, like we know No Man's Sky is good now, or decent at least, like you can move on, so that's kind of where I'm at with No Man's Sky.
They still do a lot of cool updates and a lot of stuff's happening. Like it is iterated. It's slowly putting things in to move towards the goal they originally promised.
Right. Or they're going to be Starfield.
That's right.
Yes.
But yeah, it's a good thing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think for me personally, I've moved from whenever I see an update, I used to think, oh yeah, that's good now. I really want to check it out.
Yeah.
And now it's like I see an update, I'm like, oh, that's good for them. You know?
Yeah.
So our runner-up was Fortnite. Didn't take it.
Interesting.
Didn't take it.
Then it's got to be Final Fantasy, right?
We have enough people on staff that play 14.
The 14th fantasy.
So it is Final Fantasy 14. Again, it won last year also. So it's a back-to-back evolving game
They
winner.
keep crushing it.
Yeah, it's kind of hard not to be like, yeah, it's deserved because they're just knocking everything out of the park.
I shit you not, I reinstalled 14 3 days ago.
Hey, preparing for
There you
this.
go.
Ready for 6.3?
Yeah.
No.
And I do love
The
too that
Island Sanctuary.
even though that MMO like it has so many people working on it, probably it really largely hasn't affected the mainline Final Fantasy games too. Like, there's never been a worry of like, oh, 16 might not come out in time because they're busy with 14, right? Like, you've never had to think that.
But also 7 Remake Part 2 and
December.
probably, hopefully, maybe 9 Remake.
God, please.
You want to see that?
If they drop that, oh man.
You need to see Vivi's hat in 4K, 144 FPS.
I want to see what a modern day 4K Steiner's face looks like. That's what I want to see.
It gets you going.
Yeah.
Maybe you'll see it in Fortnite. Maybe one day we'll do a Fortnite Steiner skin.
There we go.
You see that realistic Oglop.
Yeah, good for Final Fantasy 14. It's fantastic. It is a worthwhile model for anybody that wants to make an MMO going forward to follow. It's really fucking hard to do it.
Yeah.
But it's great stuff. Glad for MMO fans because WoW sucks. Oops. So our next category is Indie Game of the Year. Probably my favorite category that we do every year. For the
indies just keep getting bigger.
They get bigger, and they're always the reason I love it so much is this seems to be where the most creativity in gaming lives. Is where we see the most interesting things happen.
Right.
Not always, but usually.
It's worth noting too that this, along with the next category, are only ones where there are 10 nominees instead of
we nominate
5
10 for these two. So the nominees for Indie Game of the Year for 2022 are Immortality, Neon White, Norco, Not for Broadcast, Raft, Signalis, Stray, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Shredder's Revenge, Tunic, and Vampire Survivors are our 10. I think it's interesting to have 2 FMV games on there.
Yeah, Not for Broadcast and Immortality, right? Yeah.
Not for Broadcast is cool also. If people haven't played it, it's such a cool idea. It's a great game.
It's like you work at a TV news station, but you're under a like authoritarian regime, right? So you have to deal with propaganda.
You have to make like it's very Papers, Please-esque, and like that you're having to like censor shit and like cut away and like do stuff like that as these clips are going. And some clips are great. They ham it up and like it's good time. It's very fun. Good game.
Yeah, I feel like there's a lot of games on this list we haven't really touched on, right? That I think would probably be worth us kind of discussing a bit. I think Neon White, I think, is the only one that we've given a 10 out of 10 on that list.
It was our only 10 out of 10 this 2022, I think.
I think so, because Neon White is that Ben Esposito game where it's like it's first person platforming shooter, but all your guns are cards and you discard your guns to do parkour, and you're just time trialing to get to the end of each stage really, really quickly. And there's leaderboards.
It's the pursuit of perfection that they did really well. That everybody wants to shave that half a second off their time or whatever to get the perfect pathway. Perfect execution. It's like taking that what's that called in like gauntlet trial run in Titanfall that people love to do and making
Like
a game out of it.
Yeah, like
Oh,
leaderboard.
The parkour time
course?
trial thing. It was like they're like, oh, let's make a game out of that.
Mhm.
And they did it.
Yeah.
Really well.
And I think it feels so innovative too, right? Because it's like it's not just the parkour, but there's like you have to kill all the enemies in the stage to get to the end. Like you can't just run to the ending, but also the way you interact with the guns is as if it's a card game, which it feels different, right?
Mhm.
And there's like the perfect marriage of like shooting and parkour in that, like I think of the assault rifle, I think it is, where you can just shoot it like an assault rifle, or if you discard the card it launches a grenade, which obviously AoE damage, right? But you can also bounce yourself off of the grenade's blast. So it's like, do you use it to kill a bunch of enemies, or do you use it to stick it onto a wall, jump above it, and like get yourself launched up? Like it's those sort of things where it's like you're making all these tactical choices in literally half a second.
Yeah, I can reveal now. I took third place. Didn't win.
Wow.
Interesting.
Took third.
Surprising.
What are some of the other
Raft's
indie
in the
ones that we
top 3
didn't
though,
talk
right?
about?
What's that?
Raft?
There's Raft in the top 3. Really?
No.
Auden is shaking his head for our
No.
audio
That's
listeners.
That
Is
makes
it
sense
Game
to
upsetting?
me.
is so chill.
Raft.
Well, I
you
think
want to talk
you
a bit
are
about
a
it?
raft expert,
Yeah.
Yeah.
sir.
Well, I mean, Raft is basically you start
Raftledge.
on this like 4x4 raft and end up building a whole
Bigger
build a
raft.
monstrosity.
Raft.
Like it's pretty great.
Wow.
And you're just going
more
island
rafting.
to island. The music is so freaking chill. Like I could just turn that music on in the background and just listen to it all day. It just it puts your brain to sleep.
Some of these things that you're saying are not good selling points. I think that they need different PR.
Well, it's
I know what he means.
It's kind of like
Yeah.
turning on like a lo-fi channel for the most part. It's just kind of in the background. It just sets a nice vibe.
Chill.
Lo-fi hip hop rafts to chill to.
That's right.
Somebody do that, please.
Mhm.
But I mean, like it's also an incredible kind of multiplayer game in terms of, you build a raft with a friend, just do all sorts of crazy stuff. Accidentally leave them behind on an island. That's always fun.
Accidentally, of course. Yeah, for sure. Accident.
But
on
I mean, it's like story driven. You're basically looking for clues to get to the final like utopia where all of the humans have migrated to, and each island has like a series of puzzles you have to get through
The
in
golden
order
raft.
to get the clue. But it's pretty cool. It's definitely if you like kind of survival-esque or some level of puzzles and exploration, like it's a must pick up.
Okay.
I think it's flown under a lot of people's radar just because it's been in early access for
It has.
years.
It's been in early
For a
access
while.
for like 3
Oh.
years or something, right?
Yeah, like it only just came out in 22.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a sleeper pick from Rut for the indie game.
It's not in the top 3 though. Sorry.
Not in the top
Sorry.
3.
I'm
Not in the top
disappointed in our staff.
I could go look up the rest of it. Did it make? It didn't make top 5.
Oh no. Hey, but it made top 10, and
made
that is
top
still
10.
that is so important.
There you go, buddy.
Layoffs on
It made-
Monday. Okay.
Oh no.
I'm gonna need the list of who did vote for it.
This is why you can't see
Me.
it.
I didn't.
Oops. Yeah, I don't think I voted for it either. But
The
Vampire
next-
Survivor, I feel like is.
It's got to be in the top 3.
I wonder. I don't know.
maybe
I feel like most of our staff talked about it at some point or another.
Vampire Survivors is phenomenal.
It
It
is.
looks like fucking garbage that you'd see on a bench, like on an ad banner that you're like, this is a scam. I'm not touching that.
Yeah.
But then you play it and you're like, this might be one of the most addicting things I've ever played.
Well, I think what's insidious about it is you play it for 30 minutes and you're like, this is okay, but I don't
Yeah.
see this getting that deep. It's fine. It's whatever. And then you play for 30 more minutes,
Yeah.
and then it really
And then
starts
it's
clicking.
12 hours later.
Yeah. Like I've actually been playing a lot of this game in the past week. Like I think I played 10 hours of it in the past week because I played a lot before, but I was like, everyone's been talking about it in Game of the
Yep.
Year stuff, and I was like, oh yeah, let's get
It's
back
good
into
things.
this.
It's one of
Yeah.
the
Well, he's
perfect
got-
like podcasts or watching something or listening to something games too.
He's
And
got a
that
big
DLC just
roadmap
came
for
out.
this year too. Like he's like, I've got a lot planned, and
There's
there's,
a lot that has
already
already
so
come
much
out.
to it.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Yeah, like I last night out of curiosity scrolled through they have that list of the collectibles you can unlock, or like the weapons and items you can
Mhm.
unlock by doing achievements, and it's such a long fucking list, man. It's so much.
There's a lot to it.
Yeah. And I think what's so brilliant about it is that it is it's that perfect example of like simple building blocks but complex final creations where
Yeah.
like the final build you end up with at the end of a run is unimaginable compared to like when you first start.
Mhm.
Well, and it's crazy how stuff you have to that you wouldn't think is looking at a game like that that wouldn't matter of like the map you're on greatly affects which upgrades are better suited to it.
Yep.
And making decisions like that where this game seems so simple that you're like, I don't need to care about that. It's like, you know what, it'll change a lot for you. Like it'll make things a lot better if you make this decision.
Yeah. And since I played it, they've added like, speed modes where it's like you can do everything faster, you move faster, which it feels nice to make it a little more bite-sized if you want a quick run where you're not going to have the full 30 minutes.
Yep.
But there is a weird euphoria you feel when you finally create a build where you can just put down the controller and walk away as it just does its thing. Like you're just a living buzzsaw of death.
Yes. What is this genre of thing called? Like I know that like you are the bullet hell.
Yeah.
Essentially.
That's the closest thing I've heard people is like a reverse bullet hell is what I've heard people describe it as. And I'm all for that being a genre name because it sounds so ridiculously dumb that it's perfect.
It's good. It's such a good little thing. And it's only
If you like
even full price is a few bucks or something.
Yeah.
Like less
Cheap
than
as
10
hell.
if you want the DLC.
It's cheap as hell.
And if you like it, another good one is Soulstone Survivors that dropped.
It's a little different.
It's a little different in terms of like Vampire Survivors, you're only killing the enemies, but in Soulstone Survivors, you're also avoiding like projectiles, and there's like bosses you have to get through in order to complete it.
Reverse bullet hell.
Kind of.
It's a bullet hell plus reverse bullet hell all at the same time.
Yeah. I mean, it takes Vampire Survivors and layers a couple more things on top that are interesting and fun to play. It's definitely worth checking out if you like Vampire Survivors.
Yeah, because I think that one has active abilities too, which is I think the main differentiator from Vampire Survivors. And like you would think that taking away the options isn't a good thing, but I kind of feel like the fact that all you do is control the stick or control the mouse or whatever, right? Like that's it. You just click on a few decisions for like what weapon to upgrade or what weapon to get, and then you just move, and that's it. It's just like it's the beauty and the simplicity of it.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
It's good. Another on the list is Signalis, which I know there's quite a few people on staff pretty hyped for. It's a like sci-fi
Resident Evil,
old school Resident Evil game. Yeah, the aesthetic kind of nails that old school Resident Evil look. Also,
yeah, it looks like an HD PS1 game in a way.
I think that's a fair way to say it.
Yeah, and I don't mean that in a bad way either.
No,
it just nails that aesthetic.
It looks good.
Very polygonal. Yeah.
Polygonal.
Yeah. Polygamy?
I don't know. That's not how to do.
Very polygamy.
But yeah, no, I've heard a lot of good things about it. I know that fans of the survival horror genre are pretty hype about it.
Other than we played it briefly at PAX, which was really neat. I haven't had a chance to go through it, but it's pretty cool looking.
Right.
Yeah.
So, are there any other games on that list?
There are two other ones.
Yeah.
One that we were continually baffled by at the Game Awards being nominated for everything was Stray. I'm surprised it did not get nominated for our visual design because that would have been very deserved, I feel.
Yeah.
That's its real big strength.
Yeah.
So you're a cat.
Yeah, you're a kitty that can scratch carpets and
you can
get your head stuck in things.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Stray was a lot of fun as a game. I had a blast playing it. And like the story, there was a story. It was fun, but it wasn't, you know, an insanely strong story.
Mm.
But it was fun. My cats fucking hated me playing it. That was definitely worth the price of entry.
The TV kept meowing at him.
When I've heard people talk
Got a
about
big
Stray, they're
TV
like
too.
expecting more out of it. It feels like when it's very much like this game's a vibe. Like that's what you're playing. You know, it's not some actiony thing, not some platforming thing. It's not one where you're gonna get super in depth and like being this cat simulator or some bullshit some people were thinking it would be. It's very
nice
much a
cat
vibe.
armor.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I wasn't expecting it to be like the Skyrim of cat games, which I guess the Khajiit are the cats of Skyrim, but you know, I wasn't expecting it to be that deep, but I do think it kind of wears out its welcome personally. I think it is a little too long for what it is, which is for the most part, like mechanically speaking, pretty basic,
pretty simple
platforming puzzles, action, like adventure kind of puzzle type things. So I agree that it's the vibe. I just don't know. I wouldn't stick to the end of the game just for the vibes. I mean, I like cats. Cats are cute.
Okay. And the only other one that we somehow missed it when we talked about multiplayer was the Shredder's Revenge, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Shredder's Revenge.
Yeah. That was a lot of fun.
Such a really good idea of coming out. Yeah, definitely reminded everybody of the SNES games. Mm-hmm. And they looked great, played great beat 'em ups.
Yeah, very faithful to like what you'd remember of it.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. So I'm curious, what was the second? Because we got third place was Neon White for Indie Game of the Year.
My guess is second is going to be Tunic, first is going to be TMNT.
So second is Tunic.
Yep.
2 for Tunic.
I personally would have put Tunic at 1. Actually, no, I would have put it at 2 because I put Norco at 1, I would think.
Oh, you bastard.
Yeah, Norco is really good. Tunic is phenomenal, though.
Is Norco what won?
It is not the winner. Norco did not win.
I got no idea what it could be then.
Vampire Survivors?
Vampire Survivors is
Hell yeah. Hell yeah.
This might be the surprising one. I saw that. I was like, what the hell?
Nice.
But I was like, actually, good for it. It's so perfectly well done for what it's doing.
I didn't realize that many people on staff played it.
It's good stuff.
It's a great game. And hey,
fantastic.
It's one of those games where like I'm scared about what I'm about to say because I feel like I'm about to like give people marijuana. It's on your phone now. You can download it on your phone and never put your phone down ever again because it's there.
You saying like marijuana's bad?
No, marijuana's great, but you know.
Marijuana?
Yeah. But it's just so addicting. Right, in a way that is so simple, so I can totally understand.
I've been told that marijuana is not addicting.
Oh, okay. I'm talking about Vampire Survivors.
People,
how does it like marijuana then?
You know, just the idea, like, hey kid, you want some drugs? Get some marijuana. Get some Vampire Survivors. This is your drug now.
I don't
like cocaine would be the better.
Okay, cocaine. That works too.
You guys are all out of touch.
Yeah, you want to offer some
kids the drug of choice out there.
Hey, if you guys want to offer kids cocaine and meth, that's
guys.
It's all meth and
clearly, it's jingle jangle.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That's what they say when the shards are jingling.
It's a Florida thing.
No, that's a
Florida people are crazy, man. They're in like PCP and shit.
Riverdale thing.
Mess with that.
Bath salts.
Yeah.
Scrub your toes. Eat your neighbor. They're good.
Yeah. Yes. One of the more famous bath salts stories was from my local area.
Oh, really?
One of the zombie bath salt stories was from around here where I live.
Oh, beautiful.
Anyway,
proud.
No, I'm just saying. Anyway, back to awards. Why are we talking about meth and stuff, guys? God.
Congrats to Vampire Survivors.
Yeah.
Yeah, big congrats.
I'm not sure
how much. He's a solo dev too, right?
I'm not sure.
If not, it's a very small team.
I couldn't remember if it was solo
Not
or
positive.
team.
It's definitely one dude's the main face of it,
Mm-hmm.
but I don't know if it's a solo dev.
Mm.
I'm not sure whether to talk about tabletop game or RPG of the year. That's still being sorted out. We have nominees.
Vampire Survivor is a single dev.
There you go.
A one vampire.
So I can at
Luca
least talk
Galante.
about what we've nominated for tabletop game of the year / RPG of the year. But you will have to wait to hear the winner until the published article comes out later this week.
Fair enough.
The nominees, though, are Cyborg RPG, the Essence 20 RPG system, Jurassic World Legacy of Isla Nublar. I don't know how to say
Isla
that.
Nublar.
Isla Nublar? I don't know. Kill Team Into the Dark box set from Warhammer 40k, and Spelljammer Adventures in Space.
Mm.
I think Spelljammer is something you did, Stretch, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Spelljammer was a collection of 3 books that the Spelljammer setting was only previously touched on in like 2nd edition. So this is the first time that it had been like officially coming back. And it's pretty much D&D in space. There are a whole bunch of like different space variants of monsters and stuff, which is quite cool. I've actually got some of them behind this couch. Not the figurines of the monsters, not the actual monsters.
Well, as far as you know.
Thank you for clarifying.
Yeah,
Very important
but it was a
clarification.
really great adventure. You get to go hopping through space on a spaceship, see space whales, fight a giant asteroid with an eyeball. All really cool stuff. This was, one of the first big pushes to expand again past the Forgotten Realms settings, which most people are familiar with, and what people will be seeing in the upcoming D&D movie.
Mm.
That was an excellent adventure.
Yeah,
Cool.
there you go.
Little,
That's
little
D&D.
taste of, you can hear more of our tabletop thoughts later this week.
Mhm.
Yeah, I know that as well. The Essence 20 system is the one that the new Transformers and the G.I. Joe and I believe the Power Rangers RPG have all been built on as well. So that's been a really cool kind of like Saturday morning lineup of like get in, play your favorite characters, become part of that world. And I don't know too much about the Cyborg system, but everything that I've been hearing is good.
Mm.
Yeah.
Nice.
So there's a little bit of context and validity to the tabletop portion.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So now it's time for the biggie, the game of the year.
Brody.
Who won
Game of the year.
And now we have 10 nominees here also. So the 10 nominees are Elden Ring, Horizon Forbidden West, God of War Ragnarok, Kirby and the Forgotten Land, Marvel's Midnight Suns,
Hell yeah.
Marvel Snap, Neon White, Norco, Tunic, and Vampire Survivors. What's cool about this year more than any other, I think I wish I'd had the numbers that I'd counted up, because I did look back. I think this is the most like indie games that we've had also nominated for Game of the Year.
Nice.
Made the top 10 list. It's good indie year.
Mm.
Very good.
It was, yeah.
Out of curiosity, can we recount some of the games of the years we've had in the past few years? 'Cause I think Hades won it for 2020, right?
Yes.
Was Hades 2020? Yeah.
I really need to build a
Who
resource
remembers
page
last
for
year's
our
winner? Who
awards.
won that? Can we remember?
Yeah, that's a good question. Cyberpunk 2077.
It was Guardians of the Galaxy.
Oh, that's
Oh,
right.
that's right.
Yeah.
Guardians of the
that
so it was
game.
Guardians of the Galaxy last year. Then it
Mhm.
was Hades.
Hades. And then Devil May Cry 5.
Devil May Cry 5. 2018 was God of War.
Mhm.
2017 was Breath of the Wild.
Right.
2016 is Overwatch. 2015 was Witcher 3. That's 8 years old this year. That's fucking
Yeah.
wild.
Yeah.
And before that, who cares? 2014, I think, was Bayonetta 2.
Yeah. That works.
But
yeah, so that's the annals of history that we're talking about here. Like the game that won Game of the Year is joining that.
2016 wasn't Overwatch. I'm an idiot. That was part of the lineup. It was Doom.
Oh
Doom.
yeah, Doom.
Oh yeah.
Doom won it.
Mhm.
Anyway,
Yeah. Okay. So let me think back on the nominees list. I think there are a few there we haven't talked about
we
yet.
did
Right?
not talked about Kirby. I did not play Kirby. I like the idea that he can turn into weird shit,
Yes.
even weirder than normal.
He can turn into, I think it was one of your questions, Stretch, from the quiz
Yes.
show of how many special big things can he eat?
Yeah, he could turn into like 60 or something over the course of
Yeah.
the game, which is just like, that's a lot. I
Yeah.
don't quite think we need that many Kirby's, but that's a lot.
hmm
Yes.
I played the demo of the game, and it does deliver on like just the whimsy of I'm gonna eat that and then use
It's
it.
it's a Kirby game. It is in
Yeah.
fact a Kirby game, and I think
Yeah.
that it Kirby'd with the best of them.
Yeah. Oh, I still think the trailer is one of my favorite moments of the year, only
Pretty
because
good.
the way it's shot, you see the car and it's framed in a way where you're like, oh, Kirby's gonna eat the car. And at first you're joking because you're like, there's no way he would eat the car. And then he eats the car.
He becomes I am become car.
Yeah, and he's like this curse like stretched over the car kind of thing. Like
Yes,
it's amazing.
it's good.
Mhm.
It's where I would want Kirby to go.
Yeah.
Keep going down this way with Kirby.
I can't wait for Super Kirby Galaxy where he eats planets.
Yes.
Yeah.
That would be good.
And just stretches his mouth all over.
I could see him being a great addition to like a Katamari game.
Mhm.
Like build it all up, feed it to Kirby, he becomes even more of an eldritch being.
Yes, he is the void.
One that Rhett will want to talk about is Marvel's Midnight Suns.
That was one I was talking a lot of shit early on in the year where I was like, I hate the idea of the cards for the strategy. Yes. And then previews and reviews started coming out, and I was like, am I fucking wrong? And then the game came out, and I started
normally
playing.
yes.
Yeah, so whenever you ask yourself that, you can just say yes.
Let's see. So I have gotten every single achievement 83.3 hours.
Wow.
Well, no, you're missing one achievement.
Yeah, you don't have one.
It's the did you get all of the other achievements one is bugged. So I got all the achievements, and then the one that's like, hey, you have all the achievements is like, fuck you.
Obviously,
that's what I'm saying is you don't have all the achievements.
Yeah, exactly.
So
you don't have all
just
the achievements.
Checking every day to see if there's an update, and then launching it, and probably finally getting that achievement. But
wow, so you're not even a real gamer.
Yeah, 83 hours into it. Collected everything, even though it didn't matter.
Are you best friends with Spider-Man now?
Yeah, I maxed everybody's friendship level.
PlayStation Advantage.
Did all of the challenges, all that stuff. It is a surprisingly.
Is Tony Stark dead?
Game.
Does he live?
No.
He's dead?
No.
He's alive?
He's alive.
Does somebody die?
I don't think, from what I understand, Midnight Suns is outside of MCU
I know.
canon.
I figured.
Yeah, it's not the MCU.
It's definitely not the MCU. There's references to stuff that happened in the MCU, but very lightly.
See, I wonder how much of that is just because the MCU references Marvel comics.
Yeah,
so
true.
Just referencing
There's
Marvel
definitely
comics.
stuff that's like, that's definitely comics. That's probably both. And there's other stuff that I'm like, I don't remember that. But there's a lot to it from a gameplay perspective. Like there's like 9 levels of difficulty, and I beat it on the hardest one, which it definitely takes a lot longer to complete each mission.
Right.
Because enemies have significantly more health. You have to be more careful with your choices. And then I New Game Plus'd it on story mode and just like breeze through missions for the most part. But there's so many ways you can kind of build your deck, build your team. That there's a lot of nuance to picking your abilities and like chaining, say, something that Captain Marvel does with something that Captain America does.
Yeah.
And there is a lot of repetition in the missions, I will say that, but each mission is maybe 10 to 15 minutes long. So it's nothing crazy.
Yeah,
But yeah, I had a great time with it.
Yeah, I've been playing a lot of it over the break, and I've been enjoying it too. I haven't beaten it, but I'm like deep into the third act, and I feel like that's the close to the end. I don't imagine there's a fourth act with where the story is kind of going. But I agree with you. Like, yeah, the missions can get a little repetitive because it's kind of the same. Like, I want to say there's 8 or 9 different objective types, although some of them can feel a little similar. But I think what it does kind of a similar thing that roguelikes do, where yeah, it's the same objective, but your circumstances are different. I think it's like the party you bring in, the cards that they draw, the cards that they even have, all of that kind of makes each mission feel a little bit different. Like if you go in with a team with like Spider-Man on your team, then you're going to be thinking, okay, I want to build this match around the idea of like how many environmental like triggers can I hit where Spider-Man can do the most damage, right? Whereas then if you go in with like Captain America, it's like how's the best way I can taunt everyone, so everyone tries to attack Captain America and he counters them back and just cleans house, right? It's like those sort of decisions that I think this game absolutely nails, that strategic feeling with the cards.
Yeah, and choice is never like overwhelming either in terms of like it's a very limited map for each mission. It's not like say XCOM where you've got this pretty expansive area to branch out and try and get angles on. It's basically a circular map every single time.
Yeah.
So it's movement is not quite as important as the cards that you choose.
And the character moments are pretty nice too, similar to like Guardians of the Galaxy. I think everything aside from like the hunter's kind of stiff medieval performance, everything else feels very like cohesive and like playful. And like if you're a Marvel fan, you're gonna get a lot out of it. And like they even have some cheeky like references to things, you know, like I think Spider-Man at one point in my game said like, man, I wonder if there are other Spider-Men out there or something like that, you know. And it's like, okay, you know, right? Like if you watched Spider-Verse or something and you're like, okay, yeah, right.
Did you play the female or the male hunter?
I played the woman. She's also kind of a little stiff.
The male performance is better having played both. Like
gotcha.
I played through the male the first time and it was, I mean, it's decent, but playing through as the female the second time, it felt very awkward. I was like, this feels very different than the last playthrough I did. So I think it was just a difference in voice acting and kind of the inflections that were being used.
Yeah.
Because most of the words are the same.
Gotcha. Yeah, that's Marvel's Midnight Suns.
Sounds good.
Pick it up if you like Marvel.
I'll play it eventually. Just so much stuff.
Yeah.
There's been a lot of games, so it's like, boy, it's been hard to keep up with this year. And it's only going to get better.
It's a lengthy game if you want to do everything. Yeah. If you want to get their Midnight Suns uniform and their ultimates and all that kind of stuff, it takes time.
The industry is giving us a few weeks of a break, and then it's just hammering us again.
Yeah, I mean, like,
you guys are on a break.
I mean, later this week from this episode, fucking One Piece comes out, and then the week after is Fire Emblem, and then Forspoken, and then Dead Space, and then it just keeps coming, and it don't stop coming.
Yeah.
Every time I look at our upcoming games list, I cry. It's the next couple.
There might be a game of the year in that list somewhere.
Yeah, One Piece Odyssey.
I don't remember it at the end of the year, but
what's new?
Yeah. And we get to the end of every year, and Stretch does his little thing where he's like, "This game came out in January," and you're like, "Wait, seriously? That was this year?"
The key to remembering January is big Japanese dev game,
like Hitman 3. Remember. Yeah.
Yep.
Are there other games on the GOTY list?
We have talked about everything, I believe, on this list previously. So our
what's the runner-up?
Third place went to Marvel Snap.
Third place, Marvel Snap. Okay.
Marvel Snap went third place. Now I think you can guess the top two, probably.
Norco and surprise guest Pentiment.
Horizon and
that didn't make the game of the year nominee list, but yes.
Yeah, right in.
Sticker, yes, it got written in.
Probably Elden Ring and God of War, right?
Those are the top two.
Yeah.
But which one ran away with the winner this time? Who snuck it
Ring
out?
1, God of War 2.
Yeah, I guess Elden Ring. There was a lot of fans for that in our staff this year.
Yeah, I
a
think
lot of
it's
fans everywhere.
Yeah, I think Elden Ring's the one.
It was Elden Ring by a landslide.
Landslide.
It might be one of the biggest gaps we've ever had for a game of the year.
Wow.
It crushed it this year.
Hmm.
By far
for
and
them.
away the most first place votes by a lot.
That's pretty good. I mean,
That's crazy that we have so
understandable.
many people who are wrong on the staff.
yeah,
That's
like Stretch.
wild.
Yeah, it's crazy. I mean, I think it's like every year we have a game of the year and the industry picks a game of the year, but I feel like this feels similar to how when Breath of the Wild won game of the year, where it's like it's not just, oh, this is a really good game, but like this is a game that is going to impact open world design and mechanics for years to come. And I think Elden Ring is similar to that in terms of it's going to be an iconic game for years and years.
Yeah. It kind of feels like it was this is, well, people hope not, but it kind of feels like this is the peak of the Souls formula in a way. Like, where does it go from here? Kind of thing.
Need to start licensing
Pinocchio.
it.
I'd be open to like a Sekiro, something that's like a tighter samurai focus. It's like a little bit of a different combat style, but I like that a lot. But I do think if they came back and announced like we're rebooting Dark Souls or like Bloodborne 2, I would play it, but there's a part of my mind that's like, kind of wish they announced Elden Ring 2 though. You know? Yeah. Elden Ring Tears of the Kingdom, man.
You're getting Lies of P this year.
That's right.
True.
Pinocchio Elden Ring.
Yeah, that game's gonna be pretty rad.
I'd love to see if they could do their Elden Ring formula in like a grittier, like licensed game. Like what kind of different world would, or like established world would lend itself to that?
Game of Thrones. I'm just throwing it out there, but Game of Thrones.
I think Game of Thrones, but there's
Game of
like
Thrones.
there's some good fantasy there. Like I'm thinking like One Punch Man,
like Berserk.
Yeah,
Berserk.
well, I mean, I'm just thinking if they do
Lord of the Rings.
if they do Game of Thrones, they could hire that guy George Martin or whatever to write it.
That's true.
Who?
No, I believe he's
almost done with
Wind's
Winter
right now.
He's almost done. He said he's
Allegedly.
almost done.
Yeah.
By almost, he means like 3 more years, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Sure.
Yeah.
Boy, it's a good game. It's a good thing that he has handed over all of his like diaries to other people to be like, this is what happens.
It'll definitely be finished someday.
Someday.
That reminds me, as an aside, have you guys seen that movie Logan Lucky?
No.
Anyway, it's a good movie, but it's a prison movie where they're doing a heist and stuff. And part of it takes place in a prison. And at one point, the the or jail or whatever, the prisoners take over, like from the guardsmen, and they're like trying to negotiate to get stuff. They're like, man, get us the next Game of Thrones book. Like the library's not finished, and they're like, dude, he hasn't written it yet. They're like, that's bullshit. You're fucking lying. Get us the next book. It's pretty funny. Like, don't fuck with us. We know the next one's out there. We need to finish the story. We need to know what happens.
That's good.
When's the last one?
It's a good one.
Yeah.
It was a while ago.
I think it was 2012.
You can just give them all the item descriptions in Elden Ring, and it'll be
anyway.
2011
Elden Ring. There you go.
Yeah.
Yes,
there
Elden
will
Ring.
be children having their 12th birthday this year that have never seen a release of a George R. R. Martin book.
A Song of Ice and Fire book. There's been other Martin books.
Yeah, that's true. That's very true.
Yeah. But I mean, I think it's kind of expected. Like, I mean, I think we all
not surprising at all.
Yeah, I think like even at the beginning of this year, since Elden Ring's release, everyone was like, well, the only other game that could give it a run for its money is God of War Ragnarok.
Yep.
And I think that's just kind of proven out to be true across the board for the most part.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
That's what
it owned the internet for months.
Yeah.
For a while.
In terms of people talking about it. So
People forgot again that Horizon got released. Poor Horizon.
Yeah, it really is just the canary in the coal mine for like
Yeah.
big games. Just
For
sad.
like generationally important games come out the same year and just fucking wash it away.
Yeah,
Poor bastards.
yeah.
So
Well,
great.
hey, maybe Horizon 3 that'll be their big break. Third time's a
Maybe.
charm.
Horizon
know?
3 will be the Elden
Do
Ring
we-
of Horizon.
it'll release the same week as the next God of War.
I don't know.
Or
Maybe.
do we know what the release date for the VR one is? Does it line up with Tears of the Kingdom?
Doesn't it-
February
isn't it-
22.
Yeah, it comes out the day PSVR 2 comes out.
Yeah, it's a launch title for PSVR.
Yeah.
February
It's launching
22.
in February.
February
So
22.
that means that it's got like 2 to 3 weeks until Tears of the Kingdom is out.
Yeah, but it's a VR
Well, no,
thing.
that's May. No, Tears of the Kingdom is May.
Yeah.
Oh, I thought it was
May
March.
23rd.
Nah,
No,
it's
man.
No.
Eh,
No,
Plus,
it's
VR's in its own class. Watch it. What will happen is it comes out and people are like, wow, that's a pretty good VR game. And then whatever the like first like big banger fucking VR game will come out and people forget about.
yeah. Well, I mean, didn't they just announce too that Gran Turismo 7 is going to get a free update with the VR?
Yeah,
And I'm
VR.
like, dude, that's like the kind of thing that I think everyone's been asking for with VR.
It should be rad.
Yeah,
I'm
that'll be
thinking about
pretty
getting
cool.
like a flight stick and stuff and doing flight sim in VR.
Mm.
Yeah,
So
yeah
But yeah, in
Microsoft Flight Sim on PS5. Oh wait, you got an index.
I got an index, yeah. So I figured out how to pull from the Oculus as well. So I'm gonna start exploring some of those.
There you go.
Yeah, but to revisit that Call of the Mountain thing, it does come out on a very busy week because the day before, Like a Dragon Ishin comes out and Atomic
Ooh.
Hearts, and
Atomic
then
that's
Heart,
right.
Sons of the Forest,
Atomic
Octopath
Heart's either going to
Traveler.
be super disappointing or like one of the best games.
I think it's
That's
gonna
it.
somehow be both.
It's a mix.
Yeah, and later that week too, yes, Kerbal Space Program 2, like early
Oh.
access. Yeah,
That's that week
okay.
too. Shit.
yeah.
I didn't have that on my list.
It's a lot of stuff. Anyway, as
Please.
we've looked forward to 2023, 2022 was a great year. Elden Ring, fantastic.
Yeah, truly a once in a lifetime, well, once in a generation kind of game.
Yeah.
Listen, developers, I'm talking to you right now. If you're thinking of releasing a game in February, don't.
Do it. This
Just
is when Rockstar's like, all right, and Grand Theft Auto 6 is it
Oh
slated
my
for
God.
February, just fucking wrecking everybody else's releases.
Can you imagine how many delays there would be from that decision? Like,
And
They,
you don't
smartly,
launch
there would
that
be a
same
lot.
week. Hell, you don't
Yeah.
launch that same month.
no,
Yeah,
but
I
hey,
would.
dead ass, real talk. Keep this in mind. Starfield is supposed to come out
Oh,
before
that's
the
right.
like, in the first half of
First
23.
half.
It's supposed to come out sometime.
I'm guessing it's going to be April.
See, they could
Because
do
April's
that.
pretty empty at the moment. That would be a great time. Well, for the moment, I should say.
Yeah,
That would be a
or
good
they could,
opportunity.
or they could give Zelda 2 a run for its money. Who knows, right? But I don't know. It's something to just kind of consider as you're planning out your calendar, right?
Yeah. I mean, looking at February in terms of like what I've got tracked, like Deliver Us Mars, Dead Island 2, Hogwarts Legacy comes out in February, Wild West Dynasty, Wild Hearts, Like a Dragon Ishin, Atomic Heart, Sons of the Forest, Octopath Traveler 2, Atelier Ryza 3, Scars Above, and then there's a bunch of stuff that doesn't have release dates that says early Q1 that has me worried. So
And hey, one of those games read out is going to be our game of the year in 2023. But to find out what it is, you'll have to tune in next year.
That's right. Keep this date in mind. 1 year from this date, you will know.
Yes, yeah,
Set a
Dead
reminder.
Island 2.
that's the one. Yep. But I think that's a wrap on our big Game
That's it.
Awards Game of the Year episode. Where congratulations to Elden Ring, congratulations to Vampire Survivor
Feel
for
free
taking
to
the big
berate
ones.
us for how poorly our choices
Hey,
were
and
made.
no one on our podcast interrupted Elden Ring getting their award. So I think we're the better
It's
awards.
true. It's true.
That's true, yeah. And-
We're gonna
but
start
would you-
airing ours the same time as the Game Awards. Got it.
Oh, we should tell Al Pacino he can go home now, right? Has
Oh,
anyone told him yet?
he's still in the green room.
Oh,
I'll go
shit.
find him.
All right.
Hopefully he's napping.
I hope so. He deserves a little bit of sleep.
Yeah.
But thank you so much for listening. We were happy that you were here and you stuck with us through this whole, what is it, maybe hour and a half of award stuff. If you enjoyed, please leave us a review on whatever platform you're listening on, share it with a friend, hit subscribe if you haven't, and follow us on our socials, because we're also doing our Reader's Choice, or I think that's probably wrapped up by the time.
By the time this comes out, the vote will be over, but the Reader's Choice results will be revealed throughout this week.
Yes, you can check them out on our Twitter, on our TikTok, all of our socials. And if you follow them now, you can be around for the next time we do a big poll of that kind. Have your voice be heard at TechRaptor. Or you can also go to our site, TechRaptor.net, to see all the news, features, and reviews that we publish throughout the week. But if you want more of this show, we will be back next week. And we will see you then.